Interior designers begged me to make this piece.
As a furniture maker, I reach out to interior designers all the time because they are excellent potential customers. While doing so, I asked one, "What's the piece of furniture that you struggle to find the most?" She said, "Nightstands," before I even could finish my question. I spent the last 4 months building a pair of nightstands. There were ups and downs, there were various facial hairstyles, and even a chipped tooth. I gave it my all, see if it was enough. Every design starts with a spark of inspiration, and for this piece, it was all about incorporating one of my favorite design details: exposed box joint drawers. The simplicity and deconstructed look displays the craftsmanship in a minimal way that I love. But why a nightstand? Honestly, it's kind of a funny story. An interior designer recently told me that great nightstands are surprisingly hard to find. Challenge accepted. With that challenge in mind, I dove into sketching. My first idea was a classic shaker-style table with a drawer, but this didn't feel right. So I shifted to panels for legs, which started to feel more modern and substantial. But the sharp edges and blocky vibe just weren't doing it for me. That's when the arch detail on the legs came to me. It immediately clicked. It added just the right amount of softness and character to balance the piece. With these two features, the rest of the design fell into place.
Right now, I have the legs and the tabletop in 7-foot long lengths. And I was thinking about gluing them up all together and then cutting them later. But I'm thinking that milling up shorter pieces instead of one really long piece will be easier. So I think I'm gonna go do it that way. I'm gonna align them where the middle piece is the top, and then slightly like a waterfall, I'll cut it right here. This will be a leg, and this will be a leg. So the green will be continuous from the legs to the top. So here's a tip. So staying organized is very important when making projects, especially when you have like two. So I'm making 2 nightstands. I want to keep the grain and the pieces consistent. So labeling is super key. So I'll show you what I'm doing here. I'm milling up the top and sides. All of this writing is gonna go away. So I need to write it on the end grain. So the idea is when it's all milled up, it's all clean, I still have the label so I know which piece of wood goes in which spot. It does take extra time, but in the end, it's worth it because you'll have a better end product. For this machine, I need these. It's so loud. So these are the drawer parts, and then this is the carcass. It's a lot more wood than I expected. This is only for 2 nightstands. All right, so for times with this, when I have a big stack of wood to rip up, I do have a ripping blade, and I'm going to switch that out right now. Typically, I use a combo blade. I'm gonna rip up like 50 pieces of wood right now, so I might as well use my ripping blade for that. I just sorted all of the pieces. It's time to cut the dominoes and then glue the panels together. You can see all of the piles are sorted. So, and this is why it's super important to label your pieces. So you keep the grain, you keep the color consistent. So I messed up, not too bad. It won't be that big of an issue, but a little bit frustrated just because I was cutting dominoes for all these panels and I could feel myself losing focus, and I thought, man, it would be kind of annoying if I were to punch a hole on a side of this wood where I didn't want to punch a hole, because the ends are just getting dominoes in the on the inner edges, not on the outer edges, and I lost focus and I punched a hole in this one. So I'm gonna have to fill these up. Not a big deal, but just a little bit annoying.
I just finished gluing up the legs and the top, and so now I'm going to cut them to the size. One thing to note when doing this is in order to keep your lengths consistent, so like we're going to take the depth of the legs and the top. I want to cut them at the same time, so then I'm not having to move around my fence, at different points where there's more opportunity for air. The fence won't be in the same spot. So I'm going to rip these at the same time, and then I'll cut them to length at the same time as well, just so I keep it consistent. I have gotten to see the rough shape after cutting them to size, and I think it looks good. They look substantial. I'm liking the shape. They're pretty big, the nightstands, but I think once we start kind of shaping it all together, it won't look as blocky and chunky. I do like the size. So starting to see progress, which is great. You love to see that. You love to feel that. Next step is going to be, I'll have to flatten the panels, and then I'm going to put that arch in the legs. We'll go from there. Next was creating the arch on the bottom of the leg. I had to get creative because I don't have a CNC. So I searched around the shop and found this dust collection basket thingy that was able to do the job. It's moments like this where the grind is fun. I don't have the cheat code and I don't have all the tools, so I have to get creative, and that's fun. So I encourage you to embrace the grind, embrace the journey, embrace the challenge, and enjoy the times where you don't have everything and you're not where you want to be. Once I had the sketch of the arch, I cut out the arch on a template piece, and then I refined that shape, and then I sketched it onto the actual wood leg piece and rough cut that for template routing. Just cutting the arches on the leg for the extra detail came into a little bit of an issue. You can see the domino. I cut through the domino, so I'll have to go through and clean that up. I am working on the dados for the shelf. One thing that you have to consider with dados is if it's going to be a stop dado, which means it doesn't go all the way through. You don't necessarily want to see the whole shelf from the front. I want the leg to cover up the shelf. So what you have to do is you have to stop the dado before going all the way through the front of the leg. I'll show you what this looks like. The shelf will actually go to the front, but the dado won't. I started this project about a month ago in September. It's late October, and it's fitting that I'm starting the drawers around Halloween time because that is the part that I'm most anxious about. So I'm definitely going to make or break this project, and I'm going to be doing some box joints. It just needs to fit right. If it doesn't fit right, then it's not going to work out. It's not going to be a success. So
So I just spent the past 2 hours building this box joint jig. I'll save you some time. It was pretty boring. Did some dry fits and it looks great. So it's go time. Drawers, here we come. So I just cut the first dado and I haven't even checked it yet, so I'm gonna check it right now. Hopefully it worked out. It can be a little bit tricky on making sure that the groove that you're cutting is going to match up with how you want it. I need to make sure that this is right. Otherwise, it's gonna be an issue. It's gonna look really, really nice.
We're now at the point of final touch-ups. I rounded over the tabletop to match the roundover on the legs. I dulled up the edges so it's soft to touch. Since we're at the final touches, I think it's a good time to talk about how much this cost. I'm always curious when watching other videos as far as how much some of these projects cost. I wanted to provide that to my viewers. Now the lumber for this piece cost just under $700 and it took me about 40 to 50 hours to make.
So the first test did not work. I need to adjust the rails to be a little bit lower. They were up too high. I'm gonna go do that and we'll check back.
Now before I see any comments talking about how I need a sludge hammer to close this drawer, yes, I went back and I made sure that this fit was a little bit smoother.
We're at the home stretch here. I just sanded, went through every single inch of the pieces here in the drawers, made sure everything's cleaned up, and now we are going to finish.